I just saw a video by comedian and actor Margaret Cho, and she said that one of the things that stuck out to her about the Risa Tisa story, one of the things that was most relatable, was how Risa Tisa shared that I just wanted it to be my turn. This is one of the reasons why I work so hard to help women decenter men. I am super passionate about it as a woman who used to center men, who was obsessed with being chosen and getting married and having that big day. And I think it's also something that a lot of us, especially as women, can relate to. I remember when I would first meet a guy and I would have those thoughts in the back of my head, and I would say, finally, I'm finally dating someone. Finally, I have a boyfriend. Finally, when my friends and I sit around at lunch and we talk about men and they're talking about their boyfriends and their husbands and the guy that they're seeing, I finally have something to contribute to the conversation. Finally, it's me too. And with every single man that I dated, I would get so caught up and romanticize the way we met, because all of us, we love a good love story. Whenever I see a couple who seemingly has a healthy relationship, you guys know I love a good romance. I'll go through the comment section and I'll see tons of women saying, how did you guys meet? Tell us the story. I'll see women say, I want ideas. I need hope. Where should I go? I would get so caught up in romanticizing how me and this particular dude met. There was a guy that I met, I think in 2010 or something like that. I was in a parking lot at Best Buy because I had just left inside the store. I don't remember what I was doing there. And we locked eyes. We were parked next to each other. And then when I got in my car and he got in his car, I looked at him again and I smiled. And he came over and offered me his number. And I remember, even though we never actually went out on a date, he was not serious about that at all. He just saw a conventionally attractive woman that he could, have sex with. I was so caught up in this whole telling my friends, yeah, and like, who would have thought, we met in a parking lot. Isn't that crazy? I remember the first guy that I met after I left my abusive ex husband, even though he was a complete flake and was the hugest player on this side of the equator. I was so caught up in, yeah, somebody introduced us and he told me when he saw me, the whole room stopped. My abusive ex husband, this is an amazing example. When he first saw me, and you can ask his friends, he told all his friends, I met the woman that I'm going to marry. And I was just so caught up in the romance of it all. We all want to be able to have the magic formula as to how to meet our dream person. So we're going to ask people who have those seemingly healthy relationships, how did y'all meet? What did you do? Even though, in my experience, as someone whose friends, I have the majority of my friends and family are married or in relationships, and I've heard all their stories about how they met, and there is no magic formula. It's just life, and that's just so happened to be when you met the person. I once heard a creator on this app, and I cannot remember her name in order to tag her on this post. I will tag her later if I come across her on my FYP again. But she said, we not only need to decenter men, as women, we also need to decenter romance. And at first, I was like, this is interesting. And thank goodness I actually listened to people and I finished the video before I comment or say anything stupid. But everything she said absolutely made sense. And when I look back on all the toxic relationships I ever was in, me wanting to have that romantic fairy tale story is honestly what kept me there. I had heard so many stories of women being in these toxic relationships with these losers, and one day they stopped talking to him and the man chased her down the street and he changed and now they're married. Or me and Johnny broke up and we stopped talking and after 2 months he knocked on my door and now we're married. Romance was the reason I accepted so much bullshit that I should have never accepted, because I wanted the romantic story. I wanted to show the world that I too had been chosen. I was picked. I wanted the romance novel that I could tell my grandchildren about one day. I wanted to be the one that the guy did wrong, and then I left and he came back and he treated me the way I was supposed to have been treated. But this is the reality of the situation. A lot of those guys didn't really change. What happened was they missed having control over that woman. They missed whatever that woman was offering to them free of charge. And once they lost that control, once they lost the use of her, they had to do whatever they had to do to get her back. So why not fake being Prince Charming for 2 seconds? Now I see it as an insult if you fuck up and you cannot listen and you don't do the things that I'm asking of you. And then when I fucking leave you, now you want no, that means you were capable of doing that shit this whole fucking entire time, and now you're trying to manipulate me into getting back with you. Also, if I reach the point of going no contact with the man or deciding not to fuck with him again, it is with good reason, and reconnecting with this person hasn't changed shit because honestly, it's hard for people to change. Let's just be realistic here. Think about every New Year's Day when you vowed to do right by yourself, and 2 weeks in, you said, fuck this shit, and you went back to old habits, whether that be a weight loss journey, a fitness journey, a way of thinking, or doing something else differently. It's hard for people to change. And while there might be some exceptions to the rule story where she broke up with him and they spent some time apart and maybe they did get back together and he was better. That's the exception to the rule. That's not what realistically happens, because when a lot of these guys see that they can push you and cross your boundaries and you're going to take them back, they just keep getting worse. They just keep continuing to top the last time that they disrespected you because they know you're always going to be there. Having men and romance centered is the reason why when you tell a single woman, hey, just live and focus on yourself, that fucking pisses her off to no end. And you get responses like, oh, I hate when people say that. I've done all that. If I focus on myself anymore, I'm going to lose my mind. I still haven't met the man of my dreams yet, because the point of focusing on yourself isn't to do it in hopes to meet someone. It's to do it because it's your life. You only get one, and you need to be taking care of yourself. And if the stars align and at any given time you meet someone, it's not going to happen any faster or any sooner because you're doing some mathematical equation as to how to meet the one. Focusing on men and romance and when you'll meet the one will make you miserable because it's not something that is within your control. And you can try to replicate what your best friend did to meet her husband, and it's not going to work for you because that's how she met her husband. Worrying and crying and obsessing is not going to make you meet him any faster, and it's not going to make him treat you any better. We should decenter men and romance and center ourselves, because I shit you not, sitting by the window longingly thinking someday my prince will come will do nothing more than depress you and set you up to settle for the first guy that shows you more than 10 seconds of attention because you want the story. You want to show everyone that you've been picked too. You have a boyfriend too. This is how we met. This is our story. And it causes us to have clouded judgment and to stay in horrible relationships longer than we actually should.